Okay, so welcome you all to the seventh day of our training. So let me share the screen as well. Right, so hope you can see my screen. Can I get a confirmation if you can see my screen? Is it visible? Okay, thank you. And I hope you're okay, right. Then if I just give you a recap on the place that we stopped yesterday. So we were working with the dialog box, and there we were trying to apply some functionalities on that dialog box while going through our requirement. So if I go to our client here, actually we are working with this TRN inventory product overview page, and when we select a record, we should be able to get all the data to a dialog box, and from that we should be able to move it to another inventory location using this dialog box. That was the requirement that we need to fulfill. So based on the yesterday content, we developed up to a certain place, but today we will be completing the full functionality of the dialog box. Okay, I think I have relogged to this one. Right. So we yesterday we were completed it up to a certain level, but today we will be fully completing it, and then we will be looking into another kind of a new concept as well. And also there are some points that we are planning to discuss regarding some concepts that we need to look into when we are doing development in Arena, right? So maybe I could able to log into the client application first and get it open. Right. We'll keep this, and in our manage inventories, under inventory products, we have the page. So let's try to access it. Right. So this is the window that we have connected the dialog. So if we select on one of these record, we are able to get the command move product. So by clicking on that, we are able to get the dialog box appeared here. And yesterday we tried with different functionalities that we can apply in the dialog box. So we were able to create this dialog box, and there we created kind of a group to get the data from the parent page. So from there, we are getting all the information like company ID, source branch ID, source inventory ID, product ID, and the source quantity. So what we are trying to do here is like we are trying to move from the source quantity to the destination quantity amount that we are typing in here. So for that, we can select a destination branch ID. So for that one, we are using here a reference. So from that, we are able to get options that we can transfer this data into another location. So here we have branch IDs. Maybe I could go with the first one. And from the selected branch ID, we were able to filter the inventories that is available. So maybe I could select this one. And for that one, we are able to get the quantity available in that destination branch ID. So currently in this particular branch ID, in this particular inventory, we have 75 quantity. So from the source quantity to the destination quantity, if we want to move, let's assume we want to move 5. So what we can do is we can give 5 here, and then we have to implement a functionality using the move product command to move this amount from the source inventory to the destination inventory. So that's what we are trying to do using this dialog box. So there is a validation also we tried here. If we give more than a amount which has in the source inventory, let's assume now I'm giving something like 80. then we are not enabling that OK button or the move quantity button. So that part we have already completed here. So you can see that this move product button, or which is like coming from the OK button, we are only enabling it if move quantity to move is not null, and also quantity to move should not be greater than source quantity. So based on these requirement only, we are making this command enable. That's why if we are giving a value, or if you are like giving something more than the source quantity, the button is not appearing here. But if we give something like less than the source quantity, like 5, then this move product button or the command is enable. So can I get a raise of hand if you are completed up to this part without any issues? If you do have any issues, or anything related to that, you can ask. But I would like to know if you are completed up to this point. So the code is provided in the public share location under day 6, right? So if you have missed anything, you can get the code from there as well. So I have already created a new folder for today as day 7. So I will be sharing all the codes and all the materials that I will use for today's content in this location. So you can get the code. If you can't actually access the chat, you can get them from this location as well, right? Okay, so I could see that most of you have completed up to this part. So if you have any questions, you can ask through the chat, or maybe you can raise your voice, right? So okay, and right, so we can continue today's content from this point. So as I mentioned, now we should be able to implement a functionality in order to get the quantity reduced from the source quantity and add it to the destination inventory. So from this dialog box, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the quantity transferred from the source inventory to destination inventory. So then when we are trying to move it here, there should be kind of like a change happen from the database end as well, because we are moving a quantity from a current inventory to another kind of an inventory. Since that there might be a change, or there might be kind of a database change we need to do in order to get this visible in our client end. So we are trying to implement that code today, and we are trying to see how there are some things actually when we are just implementing this functionality. It's not the thing we have to concern. There are more things we have to concern, and there are some other kind of functionalities which are depend with this. So let's have a look on them as well. So the first thing is, now what I'm going to do is I will show you something that we can refer and use in our implementation. So first I'll help you out, and I'll show you the thing that we will be using in this implementation. And after that, I'll show you how we can implement the code in our developer studio. But before that, I have something to show you, and I will show you what kind of things that you have to refer from your end as well, right? Okay, so if we go to our developer studio now, currently we are working with trn-inv component. So I want all of you to try this out, right? So in our utility folder under trn-inv, there is a utility available as trn inventory product ut. So I would like all of you to access this one, and there you have in your PL/SQL file, there's actually a method or a procedure as move items. So during our implementation, in order to move quantity from source inventory to destination inventory, we are going to use this procedure, right? So this is a procedure in the trn inventory product util. So in there we have implement this code, as move items. So we are going to get the help of this procedure, and we are trying to move things from move quantity from source inventory to destination inventory. So if we study about this procedure, let's have a look on how this is being mapped and what kind of information out there and what are the things that we can refer as well. So there are in the procedure, actually you can able to see that there are some parameters here in parameters. So there are company ID, source branch ID, inventory ID, product ID, destination branch ID, destination inventory ID, and quantity. So what we are going to do is we are going to pass the values for these parameters, and we are trying to get the functionality up and running using this procedure. In order to do that, actually there is another kind of a call going through this method to TRN inventory product API move item method. So let's try to have a look on that as well. So we have to navigate into this particular API, which is a TRN inventory product API,
Excuse
right?
me.
Yes.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah,
I don't know
yes,
if you've
Tilda.
talked about it before, but I was wondering why we get this like yellow warning line.
On
It
this one,
says like
right?
it's not connected to any module.
Yeah, exactly. So actually this is something kind of a bug that is from this tool, right? Even though like they are properly connected, still these yellow color lines appear. So you can actually ignore them, Tilda, right?
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
All right. No worries. So let's continue then. Um, as I mentioned, from this util PLSQL procedure that we have created, we are calling a API, which is TRN inventory product API. And from there, we are calling this move item method, right? So now, because we haven't still looked into this method, what is it and how this is being functioned, so shall we have a quick look on that as well? So what you can do is you can go to entities. There you have TRN inventory product. So let's go to generated files, and I'm going for the APY because I want to have a look on the API package there. So I'm going to get the help of navigator, otherwise I might have to look into one by one. So I can see that we have move item here, right? This one. So let me click on that, right? So we have procedure here, move item. And for this move item method, there are some parameters, and there is something like direction to, right? And it is default mentioned as in, so we'll have a look on it later. But there are some information mapped here as well when you are going through it. So there are some parameters here, and in the begin section you will be able to see some kind of a validation being happen here with check exist, and then it will be log by keys. So for that we are using the keys, and after that we are checking the direction whether it's in or out. So if it's in, there is kind of like a addition happen here, a summation. For the rec quantity, we are adding the quantity that we are passing from this location, and we are updating the rec quantity here. But if the direction is out, what we are going to do is we are going to reduce the quantity amount that we are passed to this procedure from here, right? So we are reducing it from the rec quantity, and we are updating the rec quantity here. After getting this section done, we are going for a call update. So there is a modification happening from this point. And after that, there is another kind of a else section. If the direction is in, there is something out here. So we are like looking into kind of like adding values back to add to attr to the string. We are adding these values, and then we will be creating a new record up there. It means we are actually adding a new record to the database. So those things are looked in here. So cannot move out if the record doesn't exist. So that gives a error from this point. So this errors is I mentioned previously as well as I can remember. So there are kind of like framework packages available. So this errors is also a one of framework package that we can use if we want to get a kind of a error message popped up, right? Okay, so then now this is the method actually we are using as I mentioned. So we are going to call this method using or the call this procedure using the util method that we have as move items. So from our client application, it means now using this existing method, what we are trying to do here is when we give a particular amount, which is not more than the quantity available in the source inventory, and also if it's not blank, we are enabling this move product button or the command. So when we press on this move button, ideally what should be happen is from this location the quantity should be reduced and it should be added to the destination inventory ID. But even now you can see that still there is no kind of a change happen. So it's already 50 yet. We didn't have any kind of a change visible. So maybe I could do a soft refresh too. Still it's 50. So as you can see now there is still no kind of a change happen here because we haven't implemented the necessary part or we haven't yet connected that move items method with our client development. Now what we are going to do here is actually we are going to connect the development that we are doing for this client with that existing move items method here. In order to do that, actually now you are aware that there are two types of functionality or kind of like a method writing way that available in our projection. So one way is we can use functions, right? So functions, they help us to do kind of like queries. If we want to get some data queried from the database, we could use functions and we can get the data to the client application. So it's the best way that if we can use a function in order to do so, because we will be returning a value from a function, right? Maybe if I can go to the PLSQL, PLSVC file just to recap on that. So here what we was done in this point is we actually initialized or we declared a function as get destination quantity. And from that we are trying to return a number. That's why we are specifying here that when we query data from the database, we will be returning a number. And here we mention parameters. So according to the declared function here, we could able to generate a function in the PLSVC and there we can do our implementation. So Sampath yesterday completed this part and we are now able to get the available quantity when we are trying to like get this destination branch ID and when we get this one. Okay, maybe I could use this. Okay, right, it has 75. So for this location, we can get the data queried from the database and we can return that data back to the client end using that. Now, there is another type we can use actually when we are doing the development. So it's regarding actions. So, right. So what help actions is now if we let's assume now we want to do kind of a change to the database, kind of like let's assume now we want to add kind of a data or we want to increase the quantity of a record. Then it means that we are changing the database. We are doing a change. If we want to reduce a amount in the quantity section in a tuple or a record, we can use a database change kind of a situation we need to actually follow. So in order to do kind of a database change whenever we want in our application, we could follow actions, right? So basically, if you want to query a data from the database, we could go for a function. If you want to change a database kind of a related thing, we could go for a action, right? So let's assume now, based on it, um, maybe I could ask a question from you. So based on the scenario now we are trying to implement here. So what we are trying to implement here is we are going to transfer a particular quantity that we are specifying here from the source inventory to a destination inventory. So I would like to know whether what you are choosing, whether it's a function that you are choosing in order to do this functionality, or whether you are going for an action to do this. Maybe you could use chat and let me know with an answer, or otherwise you can unmute yourself and let me know too. What what is your decision? Okay, so we got one answer in the chat. How about others? What do you think? Okay, so I could see that in the chat, most of you mentioned that is action. Exactly. So if you want to do kind of a database change, we have to choose action in order to do so, right? So here also we are trying to do kind of a change to the database. So from one record, we are trying to reduce the amount, and to another record, we are going to increase the amount. That's what we are trying to do here. So that is a database change, so that we have to use an action for that. Right. So now let's try to see how we can implement action in a projection file, and from that how we could invoke a method, maybe a existing one or a new one. But here actually we kind of having a existing one that we want to invoke this move items. So what we are trying to do is we are going to use an action in order to invoke this method, right? So let's try that out and see what kind of things and what kind of concerns that we need to do when we are implementing an action, right? And also if you, yeah, any question?
Yeah, question here.
Yeah.
What happens if
Okay.
you choose a function and still make changes to the database? Will you get some error or what happens?
um Jason, sorry, Janos, the thing is
Yes.
actually when we are working with functions, always we will be like expecting a return value, right? So if you can remember here, maybe I could show you with that.
I think
So here,
I got what you're saying. I'm just thinking that if we break the rules and put some when implementing a function in the PLSVC file and we still change the database, I mean, and break the rules, uh, mm, would the system complain or would we get an error?
no, actually, it's not like we are getting a complaint. But the thing is, Janos, like when we are looking into the standards, so like ideally when we are doing the development as a developer, so like function itself returning a value. So like if we want to return something, most like we want to query some data, and from that we are trying to get value and we are trying to return something to the database. So it's better that we can go for an option like function, right? It's not like we can do any kind, it's not we are having a restriction that on only for the fetching part we can use the function. Maybe inside of this one you could call something like a method. Let's assume now we have a method like this um here this move item. So you can still call for that using this function. But the thing is, when we are looking into IFS standards and all the things, normally we are using a function whenever we want to query data from the database, because it's help us to return some value to a client application. But in an action, what will happen is there we are not trying to return any value to the client end. So like certain, if there is any kind of a change that we want to do a database, so the best option that we could go for is the action. Is that clear, Charles?
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Okay, right. So let's continue then. Now we were like trying to start on creating a action. So maybe I could show you how to work with an action and what are the things that we have to concern on an action. So you know that we have the intelligence support here. So I'm going for the intelligence support, right? So we can go for control space and there we can get the options. So here I'm going for the action. So if you select on an action, you will be able to get some information out here as well. So there is kind of a definition here, and the structure of an action is also popping up here. If you want, you can refer to that as well. So if we double click on this, then a kind of a skeleton is generated here, but not actually the skeleton that we are supposing. Like here, when we defined it here, we are actually generating it manually in the PLSVC file in order to do the implementation. But still, when we are defining uh, framework itself helping us to give the structure. So what we can do is we can just rename and add the information in order to create this action. So let's try to create this action first. So give me a moment. I will be resharing the screen. Right. Hope you can see my screen. Okay. Right. Now let's try to rename this action based on our requirement, and let's try to move forward with that. So what I will do is I will be giving an action name like move product, because we are trying to move products from one inventory to another one. So I'm going to use with move product, right, as the name. And for that, actually, I don't have a type. So I'm ignoring that part. I'm just having it as action move product. And for that, actually, I can map the parameters I want. So rather than just typing them from all the way around, so I'm like worried whether I'm having whether I will do some kind of spelling mistakes or other things. So I have actually mapped it previously. So I have get it like this, right? So it's like helpful for us to not to have any mistakes or any kind of spelling issues, right? So what I did was I got an action as the move product, and for that I have mapped the parameters like this. So I'm using company ID, source branch ID, source inventory ID, source product ID, destination branch ID, destination inventory ID, and quantity to move, right? So something I want to point out here as well when we are looking into this one. So what we are actually using here is an unbound action, right? So we didn't use any kind of a bound action. What we used here is an unbound action. So if we are going to use a bound one, what will happen is we will be normally using keys with a bound action, right? So if you are using an unbound one, it's not actually we are specifying a connected logical unit with that action. So we can actually use whatever the parameters we want here, and we can simply use that action because we are not specifying a particular logical unit to that particular action if it's a unbound one. So this is an unbound one because we are not specifying a logical unit that we are going to use this action. But the thing is, if we are specifying a logical unit that we are going to use this action. It means if it's a bound action, what will be happen is, since it is specifically connected to a logical unit, mostly in the often scenarios, we will be able to see that the parameters we will be only using keys. There is no restrictions like we could not use any other kind of parameters. Still, even in bound variables, we could use other kind of parameters too with the keys. But the thing is, based on the standards that we are following, normally we are going for a bound action or a bound function if we are having a specific logical unit connected for that. And also if we are like specifying the parameters as keys, then we will be going to use a bound action or a bound function. But let's assume now we are not having any kind of a specific logical unit that we want to use with that action, and also with that action we want kind of like keys and other kind of normal attributes. We are simply going for the unbound actions, right? So we can use an unbound action. We can have any parameter we want with an unbound action because it's not particularly connected with any logical unit. So for that one, we can generate the skeleton, and from there we can invoke any kind of a existing method, right? So let me show you how to do that now. What I just did here is I did the declaration part of my action, right? So in my product handling projection, I do declare this action move product, and now what I will do is I'm going to I'm going to actually generate the skeleton of this action. So for that, you can see there will be a icon appear here. So you can click on that and you can go for generate skeleton option. So when we go for the generate skeleton option, you will be getting a kind of an information message whether you want to generate the skeleton. You can go for a yes there, but due to a bug in our environment or the IDE, actually there will be another kind of a the same information message will be duplicated, right? So for the second one, you can simply go for no, right? Because we only want one skeleton to be generated. Otherwise, if we get it as duplicated, there will be another kind of error because like we cannot have procedures with similar name, right? So just having one is enough. You can ignore the second dialog box. You can go for no at there, right? Okay. Maybe I'll wait for you. Can you try this up to this point? So I'll give the code in the chat as well. So this one, and you can try generating the skeleton and see whether you're able to get it. And also I'll give this in the here too, right? Maybe I'll go as day 7. So if anyone cannot access the chat, maybe you can get the code from here as well, right? So what you have to simply do is you have to declare the action move product in maybe I'll point it out as well. So you have to declare it in the projection product handling, right? And there you can have this declaration. After that, what you can do is you can generate the skeleton. So what you will get is in your product handling cust PLSVC file, you will be getting a procedure created like this. So once you're done, maybe you can give me a raise of hand as well. After that, let's see how we can call that existing method from here, right?
Tiny, can you actually save the notepad
Oh,
file?
I didn't save that, right? Okay, I'll save it.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I can see most of you were able to generate this skeleton from here in the PLSVC file. So I hope that you don't have any difficulties on that. Maybe if you have any kind of a difficulty while you are trying to generate this, so we could help you out. If
Tanya,
not, yeah,
when I'm,
go
when I'm
ahead.
when I'm trying to compile, I'm getting an error saying no initial check has been added and the property
Yeah,
initial. Okay.
so did you try like generating the code while here, right? After generating the skeleton, right?
Yeah, I did that, and actually I put a null in that move product just temporarily.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But you are getting an error, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Maybe Roy will try to do the implementation and let's see whether it's sorted out. Like sometimes, like it might not properly generated or something like that. Also might like lead for those kind of issues, right? Because
Yeah.
as you can see here, like we have the cust layer and we have core layer and all the things. So ideally, like without doing the generate code from this location, maybe you could try from here, right? So here you can like select on the top and then you can do the generate code and deploy from this set. So sometimes it might sort out, but Roy will do this way. So since we haven't still implement the code here, let's
Okay.
try to implement it and we'll see whether you still getting that error, right?
Okay.
Okay, right. Then what will happen here is now we get the skeleton. That's true. So actually what will happen is now this one will be kind of like a wrapper to the method that we are trying to invoke. So what we are trying to invoke is this method move items, which is an existing one. So for this one, in order to call this one or in order to invoke this particular procedure, this skeleton that we have generated here will be working as a wrapper. So from here, we're gonna call that method move items, and for that necessary move items procedure, we are going to pass the values from our PLSVC method. Like what we are going to do is we are going to do the implementation out here, and from that we are going to call that move items method, and from that we are trying to invoke the relevant functionality to get this moving part from one location to another one. But the thing is now let's try to try this out, right? So in the skeleton, what I will do is I'm going to call this product util API move items method. So for that one, actually, I have prepared something previously. So I'm going to use that same way. But what you can do is you can type this out and maybe I'll give this in the chat as well, right? So actually, there are some more things we need to do before deploying this to the database. But before that, let's try to call the particular method, right? So we can try this out. Maybe I'll give this in the chat too. So you can also add this into the skeleton which you generated. So here I'll put here, right? And let me save that. Okay, maybe full method I'll provide the procedure. Okay, let me save it. Right. So from here, I'm going to call trn inventory product util API move items method. And for that, I'm passing the values, right? So what I got here, I'm passing. So we have to make sure that we are passing according to the method that we are calling here, right? So if the way that we are passing values to the particular procedure is shuffled or something like that, then we might be getting errors. So for the exact order, we have to pass the values from this end to the method, right? Yes, it will be failed because like what will happen in this location if you can go to this move item method, you will be able to see that it's not like directly doing the particular um, kind of a change or the invocation on the method implementation. There are also kind of validations doing here too, right? So it will be checking whether this particular method is existing or not. So let's assume now the product ID is not existing, right? Or whether like in this destination branch ID and this even like destination inventory ID, branch ID, company ID existing, but the product ID is not existing. So what will happen is this check exist method will be invoking in this point when we are calling this method, and from that it will check whether this kind of a product ID is available in the database or not. If it not, then from that particular check exist method there will be a error raised. So the implementation or the call that is going to the database will be failed from this validation, right? Hope it's clear for you. So you can go into these methods and have a look, right? All the information is provided there, so you can like quickly navigate to it and have a look on that. You will be able to see how the validation took place, right? Okay, right.
Still getting the error.
Still getting there. Okay,
Yeah, I was
maybe
having problems with the projection this morning. I couldn't even locate it, and
oh,
finally,
I see. Sampath, are you there?
Roy, I think, yeah. So if that was the initial check, I think you need to add the initial check to the action. Maybe that is your problem. Tiny, I'm not sure if you added
Yeah,
that
I
or
still haven't added it because
yeah,
I
yeah, okay,
wanted, like, I was waiting to explain it.
okay,
okay,
Uh,
okay.
Well,
okay. So that is that might be handled from that Roy, right?
go ahead.
Okay, right. So we'll continue then. Now ideal now you can see that, right? So there might be an error that should be popping up when we are getting this deployed. So actually the reason of that is that we need to have that particular check. It means the initial check part. It because that we have used the unbound action here, right? Since we are using an unbound action here, so like that initial check should be happen because there is kind of a security vulnerability that might raise because we are using an unbound action because it's not actually specifically connected to any kind of a logical unit. So that initial check part should be added in order to handle that part, right? So what I will do is I'm like mentioning it here, right? So I'll go for that initial check part now. So why I'm doing this is because I'm using an unbound action, right? Since we are using an unbound action, we have to have this initial check in order to handle the security. So what I will do is maybe let's get it here. So I'm using the help of IntelliSense. So there we can go for the initial check. And there we have couple of options, whether get destination quantity, implementation or none. So I'll go for none actually, right? I'm specifying that initial check as none, and like I'm telling the framework that I'm getting the responsibility about the security vulnerabilities that might trace from this action, unbound action. So you can have this initial check as none here, right? So it should be added to the action in your projection file, right? Okay, so once you're done with this part, you can try generate code. So first save it, and after that you can generate code in your projection handling and you can deploy it first. After that you can go for the client because there is also like it is connected for that, but still better to like deploy that part as well. So what I will do is now let me save all my changes. I hope I gave this in the chat. And yeah, okay. So maybe I'll give the initial check in this part, right? In the action for this location, I'll add that initial check too. Okay, I'll edit it. In the chat, I'll give the new one, right? New code. Okay, it's stuck. Give me a moment until it get back. Until that, let me give the code in the chat. So for this, you can add this, right? So in your action. Right. Okay, so I have added this here. You can also try that out. Once you're done, you can generate code and deploy the projection first. So I will do a generate code and deploy here. Okay, do we have an error? What is it? We'll have a look. Okay, right. Did I mistake? Okay, I have passed some value mistakenly here. Right, let me change that. Yeah. This wasn't declared, so my mistake. Right, okay. Let's get this deployed once again. Okay, it's getting deployed, right. So can you also try this out and get this deployed? And maybe once you're done up to this plot, can you all please give me a raise of hand if you're able to successfully get this SVC deployed to your database? And also you can generate code and deploy your client too. So I'll deploy the client as well, just to make sure that is updated, right? Okay. I'll wait for 1 to 2 minutes, and after that, you can also we all can try the next part. It means connecting this part with the dialog box. Still, we haven't connected this method call or the action with the relevant command. So we can connect that part after you implement this code in your application, right? So maybe I'll give the updated one. As I guess I change it bit. There is one kind of a parameter name change. This quantity to move one. So I'll quickly give this again in the chat as well. Right. Once you're done, maybe you could give me a raise of hand, and if you have any questions related to this, you could ask as well, right? You can, if you want, you can use the chat too. That's fine. Roy, how about you? Were you able to sort it out? Or are you
I'm
still
able to,
getting the error?
well, I'm not getting the compilation error, but when I'm trying to move the product over there, I mean, is that function supposed to work now, or there's still some more to
No,
do?
not yet, Roy, because the thing is, still we created the actually we created the action. That's true, but we haven't still connected it with the command, right?
Okay, okay,
So that might be the reason that you will not be able to see the functionality yet. But as the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to connect the command along with that action. Okay.
okay. Then I'm done this till this part. Then, thank you.
All right. Great. Okay. Now worries. So then, shall we continue, guys? Hope it's fine with you all. Right. Now, as I mentioned, still we will not be able to see the functionality because what we only did up to now is actually we created the action. That's true, right? Maybe I could go to that. Let's try to quickly navigate it to our projection. Now the client, actually we want to go for projection. Right. So in the projection, we declare the action, and also we generated the skeleton, and now we have implement, or we have actually made a call to an existing method in order to get this functionality. But what will happen is there should be kind of like a way that we have to invoke this action. Otherwise, this implementation will not be able to up and running. So there should be a point that we are going to call this action from a command to, and from that we are invoking a particular functionality. So in order to do that, now let me show you where we should connect this action with the command. So if you could remember when we are working with the dialog box, so I'm going to the manage product cost client. So we were working in the dialog box. So if you go for the dialog box, I think it should be down here, right? So in the dialog box, now actually we used a command called OK. So ideally what should be happen is now when we click on this OK button, which having the label as move product button, right? So we have the move product button here. Um, here, right? So if I give a kind of a validated value, something like this, and if I give a value like 5, this move product button is popping. And if I click on that, this particular function or the functionality or the action should be invoked, right? Which we have created now. We have to call that particular action from this location to invoke that action and get the functionality up and running. So how to do that? It means how to call that action from here. So what we can do is after getting it enabled in this point by doing this validation, we could simply call that action. So let me show you how to call it. What we can simply do is we can have an execute block. Through that, we can call that move product action. So let's get the help of IntelliSense. So let's see whether we could help get help from here. So I'll click on this execute. Then if you go for that execute, you will be able to see kind of a template here. So if you want to do kind of or get something kind of here, we could use this execute block. So I'm getting that execute block, and inside of that execute block, I'm going to call that move product, which we need to get that, right? Which we need to actually call for, right? So I'm going to call that action here. So how I did it? Inside of the execute. So this will be executed when we press the OK button. Here we have enable it. Now we have to go for the execute section. In the execute section, I'm mentioning that I'm going to call that move product action. For that, I'm passing the company ID, source branch ID, source inventory ID, product ID, test branch ID, test inventory ID, and quantity to move. So these values will be sent to the projection action that we have declared here. So we have to make sure that we are passing values in a proper order and to proper parameters. Otherwise, we will get an error when we are trying to get this functionality up and running in our client. Right? Maybe I could show you something like that too. Maybe I'm going to do kind of a change here, right? I'll go with 2E's, right? And I'll show you what kind of a bug that will appear when we try to like execute this particular one, right? And how we can debug it and how we can able to get this sorted, right? So now you know what they are because I have misspelled it, but I'll show you how we can do the debugging part if we kind of like having such kind of a issue, right? Right. What we can do is now we are going for a call, and also we have to have the exit as well, because when we press this call, once we done with that, we have to exit from that execution. So we can go for in IntelliSense, we have the exit option there to like abort that. So I'm going to exit that OK command, right? So we can go for OK here. I'm getting it copied from this location, command OK, and I'm going to exit from that command. So let's quickly get a copy from here. Okay, it's looked like it stuck for a moment. We'll wait until it recover. Okay, now it's fine. Oh, didn't it copy? Right. Okay, I think it's better to type it out. Otherwise, it might be take some time. Okay. Let's try to type it out. It's kind of a lag in my connection, as I think. So please bear it with me, guys, right? We are getting an error here. Okay, should be capital, right? Now we are done. Let me give the code for all of you. I'll put it in the chat. And also I'll give in the shared location too. Remember guys, there is a change that we need to do. So later on, I'll give the corrected one too. Because actually I did a kind of a change here, right? I made 2E's to show you how to debug it. right? So later on, I'll give the proper code too, right? You just have to remove the C. That's the thing only you need to do, right? Okay, let's get back. Now I have called the move product action by passing the necessary parameters here. And once I'm done with that, I go for exit OK. It means I have successfully completed that. So from the command, I'm getting exist, right? That's what we are trying to do here. As for the next point, now let's try to save this. And we'll see what kind of an output that we are getting from our client end, right? So let's try to deploy this out. So it's move product and generate code and deploy. Okay, it being deployed. So since we have done the deployment to the projection hand, sorry, product handling, I'm not going to again do that. But if you want, you can do it that as well, right? Okay, once we're done, maybe we can go for the client application once again. And let me do a refresh here. And I'm going to get the move product. Here we could go for same branch ID, same inventory ID. It's 75 and I'm giving something like 5 here. And I'm now clicking on this move product button. Okay, it's supposed to give me an error. I think it's not properly refreshed. Maybe I'll refresh it once again. Let me reload the shell. We'll try it once again. Right, we are getting the error now. Right, so you can see now we are getting an error. But the thing is, actually, we are just getting it as server error. So we don't get any kind of a specific one here. We are just getting it as server error. Now, when we are getting kind of an error here, we should able to check what kind of a one, or maybe we have to actually identify which scope that this error caused. So in order to do that, what I will do is I'm going to get the developer tool. So you know how to access it. We can go for more tools here and we can go for developer tools. And in today's discussion, I'll show you another one, right? Something that is provided from the Arena client too, right? So maybe I could make it bit smaller, right? So what I will do is I'll keep it aside somewhere around here and I'll again click on the move product button. Right, we are getting the error. So let's get the developer tools now and see whether is there any kind of a prompt error here. Right, you can see we get an error here. When we click on that, now if I go to header section, you will be able to see that the status code is from red as 500, right? And if I go to payload, you will be able to see how the request payload is going on. So for the company ID, we are passing TCS. Branch ID, okay, it's fine. Inventory ID, we are getting the proper value. So source product ID is passing as well. But as you can see now, the destination ones are also fine. Destination branch ID is there. Destination inventory ID is there too. But as you can see now, for the quantity remove, we are sending a blank value. So now we can decide, okay, there might be an issue where we are attaching value for this quantity to move field. So you can see it's actually sending a blank value. That's the reason of getting this error. So at that point we can decide, okay, which scope this error is coming from. So we haven't properly passed the value to this quantity to move. We haven't actually passed the proper value or proper parameter for this. That's why we are getting this error. So what we can do is, we can now we are like kind of having an idea, okay, which kind of a scope this error is coming on. So we can go for that particular one and see whether we have properly send the parameters. Now you know that from here we should not have two e's. It should it's supposed to have a one e. So we can change it. Again, we can save it. Let me generate code and deploy. And I will do a shell refresh. Let me click on this, go for the move product. Let's get values from here. And before getting this, I'll get the tool, developer tool as well to show you how the call is going now. And let me have something like 5. And I'll click on this move product. Right, so let's go to the developer tool. You will be able to see that there is a call here. And for that, if you check in the payload, you will be able to see that now values are properly being passed. So you can see the quantity to move, the exact value being passed. Right? Okay, maybe I'll give you some time. Can you also have this code, right? And try to see whether this value being properly like moved or not, right? So you're supposed to notice something when you're going for that, right? Now you can see that, okay, the transaction being handled properly. So that is the request method is post and the status code is green as 204. It's being properly handled without any issue. But if you suppose to have a look on your UI, you should be able to notice something, right? So try to implement the code first, right? Maybe you can first have the error and try with it, and you can use the developer tool and kind of like do a debug. And after that, what you can do is you can change it and you can have the proper code there and try to run and see whether your expected output is coming or not, right? So when you are doing so, you should notice something. So if you have noticed that one, maybe you can add it in the chat. Yeah, Janus, you are getting an error.
Yes, I'm getting an Oracle-like error that company ID is mandatory. When I press move product, maybe you could look at my VM.
Yeah, no.
It's 1, 2, 3.
It's 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I think I also got it.
Yeah, we can only send move items between the same product. That's why I asked before. I got the same error.
Sorry, I didn't get. Okay, you got the same error.
So if you filter by product ID and just use the records that you can see, then you can move the items between them. But if you try to move it to another inventory or branch that doesn't have that product, it will fail.
Exactly. There should be an error coming up like that. So that is also something that you can notice. In Jano's issue, like when can you try with something that you have data? It mean when we try to get the destination something like this and destination inventory ID something like this, and can you try with something that quantity available, Janos? Maybe now you can see that previously I had 75 here, now it's 80. It's been updated, right?
Yes, I would like to, but for me, this destination, this branch ID and inventory ID, there is no quantity available.
Oh, for these two?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking for something else.
Okay. Maybe Sampath, can you help us out on this issue?
Yeah, I'll look into it. Give me.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
your VM is 1, 2, 3, is it?
Yes.
What I'll do is I'll first log into the application and see what's happening, and then uh, if 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 it needs, I'll let you know and I'll log into the VM.
Okay.
So for others, like if the quantity available is 0 here for a particular record, you might be probably getting an error. So let's keep that scenario for a side for now, right? So we'll discuss it. So I'll show you how we can handle that part. But beforehand, try to get this kind of an try to check whether your moving part is handled properly. So maybe you can select a record which you have data as the quantity available in the destination inventory, right? Okay. So try to check for some product which you have quantity available. Otherwise, you might get an error too, right? So other than that, you might have to notice something else too. So you can try with that, have a look on that, right? So here there is something that you should notice. So
How
maybe
do
you
we
can.
refresh? Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat, Cassiano, again?
How do we refresh after we hit
Yes,
OK?
exactly. That's the point. So thank you for noting out. So there is kind of like a issue. Like even though we have done the moving part, still the source inventory is 50. So it should be supposed now change by 45 because we have reduced 5 quantity to another location, right? But the thing is, still it's showing us 50. So if we do a manual refresh, only we will be able to see the reduced amount. So as the next step, I'll show you how to get this automatically rather than manually refreshing this page, how we can get this automatically. That part I will show you. But before that, I want all of you to try the code and see whether you are able to get the quantity move from one inventory location to another one. So as I mentioned, try to use something like a destination inventory location where you have quantity there, right? Otherwise there might be another error that we will be looking into that later. But for now, let's choose a record which we have quantity available, right? For that we can add some value, maybe 5, and we can check whether our transaction happened properly or not, right? This quantity transition properly happened or not. So if you were able to get that up and running, maybe can you give me a raise of hand, guys?
Tanya, I have a question.
Yes, Roy, go ahead.
Is there a way in the client when you're moving that you don't try to move things
Sorry,
like?
I didn't get you.
Is there a way to kind of have some kind of code in the client to say that, okay, I only want to move whole numbers, not fractions, not something like 1.5 or say 0.5 or 20.1 or something like that, like whole numbers.
Okay, for that, I think I have to check on that, Roy, because here what we used was a number.
Mhm.
So I think for that one, like it's indicating that it's a whole number, like not a one with like 5.5 or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Sampath, is there any kind of a possibility on that part, like whole numbers and
I don't think so, Tiny. I don't think that is possible. That would need to be a server check. So
Okay.
you will have to implement that in the server.
Okay, thanks.
right? So maybe I'll go through that. Like if there is kind of a input that I can give for you, right? I'll go for I go through the documentation and maybe if there any kind of a possibility, I'll let you know, Roy, right?
Thank you.
Okay. So others, if you are able to see the change, so probably in the first go you might not able to see the change here. So you can do a refresh, and you will be able to see the change. So If you can see the change of your transition in the quantity, please give me a raise of hand, guys, right? So if you have any issue or anything, so currently Jano's issue is we are looking into that. So anyone else having any issue or any kind of a question, you can let me know while we are trying this out.
Tiny, I have a question.
Yes, Nishant, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, since you have showed us do some debugging,
Mhm.
so this is kind of a client-end debugging. Suppose
Yeah.
if we have a issue in the database method that we have implemented,
Mhm.
in future you are going to show us how to do the debug if there is an issue in the database as well.
Yes, Nishant, today, the
Yeah,
latter part of the session, I will show a kind of a way that we can debug the base surveying part, right?
yeah. So
So
yeah.
there is actually a package we can use as a traces. So I'll show
Mm-hmm.
you how we can do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, right.
Tiny, I have a question actually.
Yeah, Gregory.
We used a line of code where we mentioned like exit OK, but isn't it?
Gregory, can you speak a bit louder?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Is
Okay.
it audible now?
Yeah, I can hear you now properly.
Okay. No, we actually used a line of code mentioning exit OK, but
Yes.
isn't it also exiting even if we don't use it actually?
Yeah, it's exiting. There is no like this is not required actually, but as the standards we are normally using it, right?
Okay. Okay.
Even though like it's not there, still it's the expected output is there, but we are usually using this, right?
Okay. So it's a kind of like a standard way of
Yeah,
coding
as a
inside.
best practice.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Tiny, another question here. In this
Yeah.
execute, where you're doing a
Yes.
call, uh, like suppose you had two
Yeah.
actions, like would there be like an if condition saying, okay, if say x equal to 1, call move product, and
Yeah,
if x
we
equal
can.
to 2, move product 2,
We
Okay,
can
so,
implement such scenarios, Roy. There is no issue. Like inside of this execute block, we can have multiple calls as we want.
okay, thank you.
Okay, then shall we move from this point? So I hope that all of you are good up to this point. Right. So what we had was like let's go with one by one. Like we have two couple of like two issues, right? So one issue is that if there any kind of like a inventory a destination inventory doesn't have any value, as like the quantity available mentioning as 0, then there will be a error for us. And also this refreshing part, because like what will what like when we are looking into the end use experience, normally what should be happen is when we close the dialog box, this page should refresh, because otherwise sometimes end user might think that okay, even though this bug being handled, still that error, there is kind of an error, or there is kind of a issue in our implementation because it's not refreshed or the quantity is not changed. So only if that person is aware that that person supposed to do a refresh, and after that that person need to look into that record, then only that person will able to note that the change happened here. But the thing is, it's not that good when we're looking into the end user experience. So what we need to do is we have to find out a way to do this refresh in an automatic way. So how to do that? Actually, we have logical unit dependency, right? We have something as a something known as logical unit dependency. So let me show you how to add that. Right, let's go to the Developer Studio. Right, now we can have something known as logical unit dependency, which help us to automatically refresh a logical unit that is connected to a page. So what will happen here is when we are looking into this logical unit dependency functionality, we can say the framework, we can tell framework that when the action being handled or when the action being called and the database is changed, so the connected logical unit should be refreshed and the connected client page should be refreshed after that. There is kind of a way we can do. So what will I do is I will go for the particular um sorry about that. So let me access the way we want to have it. So ideally what we have to do is we have to go to the action. So in this part, I have to mention that when the action being handled, when the action completed, I need to refresh the logical unit which is connected with this. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to refresh the TRN inventory product, because this let me show you that part as well. Okay, my VM is kind of lagging. I think it's because of my network issues. Okay, so this TRN inventory product overview is connected to logical unit TRN inventory product. So whenever we done with the action, we should able to refresh this automatically. So the connected logical unit, so this TRN inventory product overview is connected to TRN inventory product logical unit. So what we need to do is we have to do a logical unit dependency. We have to specify that logical unit dependency to the TRN inventory product in order to let the framework know that you have to do kind of a refresh to this client page once we done with this action. So what we can do is we can add it here. So there is kind of an option. When we go for the control space, you can see that we have LU dependency. So there is kind of a definition added here as well. A list of model entities are part of the return data. So when we are doing kind of a database change or kind of like a client refresh is required something, at that point we can do this. And also when we are using this logical unit dependency, we have to mention which logical unit that we are trying to refresh. So we can either use couple of logical units as well. You can see here we have two. Like that way, we have to specify what are the logical units that we need to refresh. So here in this scenario, actually, I just want to refresh the TRN inventory product. So I'm going to refresh that. So here I have to mention that TRN inventory product logical unit name, right? So once this action been invoked from framework, the client page connected to this TRN inventory product will automatically refresh due to this reason, right? So let me show you that part now, how we can do it, right? So I'm in the projection. So let me generate code and deploy. And I'm just doing this as well. Let's do a shell refresh. Let's try to use the same record. I'm using the same destination one, right? Because I mentioned that there is an issue if I not go for a quantity available 0, right? maybe I'll use another file and I'm go for move products. Now you will be able to see that our client or our parent page or the TRN inventory product overview is automatically refreshed at this point. So the value now is 40. So can you try that out as well, guys? So maybe I'll give all the codes necessary. So what we need to do is we have to add this logical unit dependency. That's the only part to get this up and running. So I'll give the whole thing here in the chat, and also I'll add it in the notepad too, right? So I'll add it to the same location for this one, right? Let me quickly get the part and I'll add here. Okay, now all the codes are available here, so maybe I'll change this as well. Now everything is fine. So you should be able to complete the dialog box exercise from this point. So you should be able to properly get this. So there is one more remaining issue we have. So I'll discuss on that part later. But for now, the functional device, we should be able to get all the things updated now, right? So once you're done, maybe you can give me a raise of hand. So after that, I'll show some points related to base server debugging, which mention like Nishant also mentioned it. So I'll show that part. And after that, we'll have kind of like a look on how to like minimize the scope and how to do kind of a debugging if the error is popping up from the database end or the base server part, and how to do a proper investigation and how to handle those kind of things, right? But before that, let's complete this, and after that we can move forward with the next couple of exercises too.
Tiny question.
Yeah, Mohammed, go
The,
ahead.
the exit okay to be used only
Yes.
after calling an action, right?
Yeah, so what I did was here, Mohammed, let me show you quickly. So I mentioned like here we are using a command, right? So at this point, I made this command, and inside of that I given a label and I made it enable if it's like this based on these like conditions. And for the execute section, I call this method, and in order to get out from this command section or the execution part, I'm using this exit OK. It means I'm like mentioning the framework that this been successfully completed. Okay, Mohammed.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Tiny, I have another question. Can you go back to the move product and the client?
Projection or?
No, in the application. Sorry.
Okay. You mean here, right?
Yeah, just hit that move product again.
Okay.
Suppose you wanted to have another action or button over here called move product and stay, meaning not exit the screen, but like if you move the product, I wanted this, like if you moved 5 from the source quantity, right now it's 40. If it had to change 35 and then, like you don't want to exit the page, you just want to refresh this dialog. Is that possible?
From the dialog box, right? From that actually,
Yeah,
as I
basically
guess.
the action is saying move product and don't exit the screen, but refresh whatever is there.
For that actually, I think it's possible. Sampath, for that one,
Yeah, I think
hope
you
it's.
could not exit and it'll do something. But I'm not sure if you omit the exit. So there's a underlying exit in the declaration of the command. I'm not sure if that will get executed. So if you actually go to the commando case, the declaration, you'll find that there is an exit as well in that
Yeah.
declaration. I'm not sure it'll get executed. But if you have a separate button that is not, that you're not reusing, and if you just you could put anything there, and it'll, if you don't have exit, and then the dialog will not close.
Roy, I hope it's fine with you.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question, Tiny. Actually, in a business scenario where you need to
Yes,
actually
Gregory.
in a business scenario when you need to actually catch the error message, like you perform something and then you have an error message in your method call, like for example you are trying to move the inventory, and then in that you get an error and you wanted to actually show to the end user that particular error message in a particular field. Is that
Mm-hmm.
possible also? Like you are getting an error message from the method call.
Yeah,
Is that possible to
it's
catch?
possible.
Okay. Could you maybe explain, or maybe tell the logic how you can implement that?
Yeah, we can do something like that. Um, Here maybe I'll show you something. So now we have called this one, right? Okay, so what we can do, let me quickly get something like an example for that. Mm, I think I had something that I could show you. Right, so let's assume where we can find this button. Okay, so we have this button as a move product command, right? So what we can do is um, maybe I'll give something like this. For this particular command, we could get kind of a execute section. Let's try to get that. I think it will work. Right. So for this one, maybe when we are passing from the dialog box, now we are calling the dialog. Let's assume now we are calling the dialog box. At that point, once this being returned okay, we should get an kind of a message like your product being successfully moved or something like that. So maybe something like here I can do. There is kind of like when we have. I'm not supposed to exactly get that. Okay, give me a moment. I'll get it here where we could calling that one. All right, I found it. We have view product button. From here, test one, product command. Okay, for this one, I'll do kind of a change. It should not actually have here. Let me add that part there. It's an extract. Okay, right. Okay, so from this point, now when we click on this move product button or the command, so from what happened here is we are executing the dialog box. So at this point, we are getting the dialog box. Now let's assume once we're done with the dialog box, we should be able to give kind of a message to the user that this been successfully, the transition been successfully done or something like that. We can add something like this here. So I'll add a code like this. Yeah. So when this being executed, I will add something like this. So into the execute block, I'm okay. I didn't properly get this. Maybe I'll type it out. So I think we have option as when. Okay, when, okay, we could have something like this. I think it should work. Here it should be a block. Give me a moment. It's been stuck for a moment. Right. So when this dialog box return OK, I'm going to remove this semicolon at the end because it's connected to that dialog box return value. Flagging. And there should be another curly brace since I have opened here a one. It's been stuck for a one. Right. Okay. Here actually we can have success message. It's like product moved successfully or something like that. Because maybe after the break I'll show you. Like it's kind of like lagging here. Roy, hope it's fine with you. Shall I show it after the break? Because it's kind of like lagging.
Yeah, I think it was me, Gregory, who actually asked, but it's totally fine. And I'm also more
It's
interested to
Gregory,
see.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay.
Gregory. Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm more interested to see if I can actually catch the
yeah.
error message actually.
You mean about kind of like the when the values are not like
Yeah,
if
so
it's
like
more than the available quantity, like something like that, right? Yeah.
not really like that actually,
Okay,
because
so
that is
maybe
actually.
I'll kind of like have some.
Yeah, what I'm
Go
interested
ahead,
is like
Gregory.
yeah, what I'm interested is when the method is called, you have IFS standard errors that are actually being raised. So I need to actually catch that error and show it to the user in a particular message. So when this method is being
Okay,
called, I need to
so
catch that error.
maybe after the break, I'll try.
Yeah, totally fine. Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
yeah, you
I'll
don't need
try
to
to
actually
Maybe
stop
show
now.
that, right?
maybe if I can add something there. Since Orina is a sort of a declarative language, it's not a procedural language at all. So we have these execute blocks where we kind of have procedural code. However, we are not really supposed to do a lot of things there. I'm not exactly sure if he can handle errors like you propose, but the idea I have is that you should just have the calls in these execute blocks, and then your implementation of the calls, possibly functions or actions, they should have the proper error handling, because the PLSQL actually extensively supports that, and Orina does not. Orina doesn't have a lot of language features in the procedural part, right? So we should keep the procedural part minimum, and we should have the declarative part as much as possible. And if you need procedural programming, then the place to do it would be the PLSQL files. For example, the PLSVC files. Right? So that is my understanding.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Sampath, I mean, so basically, this is, I think the good practice over here is to keep the client as thin as possible, right?
Yes, exactly. So you just told it in the shortest way possible, sweetest way possible. Yes, that is the idea. Yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because the error message will always be showing up, after execution at the, at the bottom, as you saw. But instead, if I wanted to actually, you know, store it in a particular field and stay there, then it's not possible in that case. That's what you mean to say.
Yeah, it's not possible from the client, I think, but you can do it. You can always do it from the server. So you can catch errors in your PLSQL methods, and then just if you want to log them, you can do that, and then you can re-erase them. So things like that, you can do it with PLSQL. So I uh, I don't think that's
Okay.
I think that's the place to do that if you want to do that.
Okay, yeah. I think I got it actually. So you kind of mentioned saying that, you insert it into a table, or like, show it in a field and then fetch that field over there instead, if there is an error message.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
Or,
you
Okay,
can do that. Yes.
or
okay.
if I can have a suggestion, you can do that error handling in PL SQL block and return the error message or whatever to the client, so in some variable or in a way, so the client gets it back and you can still display on the screen, I think.
Yeah, that was what was, what I was asking actually. Is it possible or not? So it seems like, it is to be restricted. That's what I got from what Sampath mentioned now. So my intention was to have the error handling in the PL SQL code, but in some way to actually catch that and show it to the end user.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe so okay. Of course there are a lot of ways you can return errors and warnings in the server. So this is base server territory. So but I'll just say it. So you can use errors and you can use client sys to send out the warnings. So the framework will catch those warnings and display them for you. But if you specifically want to get some kind of a list of messages from the server and then maybe display them in the UI, so things like that could be done. The way to do that would be, your functions and your functions actually can return uh, complex structures. So for example, we created a structure. So your functions would be able to actually return structures. So you can return complex data types. Yeah, you might have, a bunch of error messages as well as a return value as properties in a structure. So things like that could be done, but we will not expand on it because it will take some time to do. So that can be done.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so um right. Maybe with that question, like we could go for the break as well. So after the break, we'll have a look on how to do kind of like adding traces and how to debug on the client for the database end part as well. I mean, from the base server end, if we could do kind of a debugging, how to do that and how we can get the issues reported from the client end. That part we'll discuss after the break. But before that, let's go for a quick break, maybe around like 20 minutes. And after that, let's continue from that point. And also, like, if there is kind of like a message that we could give and like something that we could come up with, I'll show that. So I'll try to look into that at the break, right? So, yeah,
I have
so,
any question? I have a question over
mm,
here. Um,
yeah, yeah, Rahul,
remember,
go ahead.
remember in the .NET client used to have the notes field in like multi-line text or something like that. Is there something like that in Arena, like where you can put a lot of notes or something, or is it going to be in a what you can say? Like, is there a kind of a notes field in multi-line?
As I guess, Roy, for that actually we can like have the length of the field uh, Sampath, isn't the thing that we can do for that?
Yeah, we can create fields as well as we have this multi-line field. I will give this link. There is a multi-line field, and there also is a markdown something where you can actually show a markdown text. I'll just I'm just trying to find the link for that. So if I find it, I'll send it to you as well.
Oh, okay, so so multi-line is possible, and that's just one. I just wanted to know that. Thank you.
And also, guys, actually, I was able to find something for you, while looking into that. So maybe I could show that as well before going to the break. Um, Actually, like this is kind of like a success message we could use. So what I actually do here, like when we are using the dialog box, so when we are returning it back as okay, like when we are making it as exit okay, so what will happen is it will indicating the framework that we are successfully completed the dialog box work. So I actually uses a success message, and I mentioned that the product successfully moved. So let me quickly show you how can we get kind of a success message in our client. So let me run this out and show you. But actually, there, as Sampath mentioned, there are like um, no more options that we can do. Like there are some limited scope is available for us. So this is actually one thing that we can do, right? So that's why I'm looking into that. Let's assume we are getting this one, and I'll go for the destination one. Yeah, let's go for another 5, and I'm having as more products. Now you will be able to see that there is a kind of a success message, product successfully moved. So we could use this kind of a one, Gregory. Hope it's like that is something that you can use.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I get it actually. I mean, the reason why I asked is actually to, in business scenarios where, you can have scenarios where you wanted to show this success message in a particular field.
Yeah,
So the success here, this is actually predefined one, so you can actually type whatever and then set it into a field. But what if
exactly.
it's what if it is an or an already existing standard IFS error, because you cannot actually, you need to catch it into a kind of variable, the error message that is actually, or like an out parameter that is coming from the procedure.
Okay.
So
Right. So
yeah.
there are like as Sampath mentioned, we don't have that much of scope actually,
Yeah,
Gregory.
I get it actually. So the only option is to actually show the error message at the bottom to the end user, some way, rather than getting it cast within the dialog box, or whatever screen you are.
We could do something like this. I mean, like we have the success message, error messages, or like something, but we could only like type something here. Like maybe
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
assume
Mm.
error. If there's error, kind of like quantity is not available or something, then we could type it. So at the end, for the client, we can show that kind of a message. But the thing is, like we couldn't like get the error and do something like in the APF, like we are supposed to do some sort of kind of things like that. But here, actually, we don't have that much of scope, Gregory.
Okay, okay.
Right. So maybe I could give these as well for you all. So you can also try this out, right? So it will give something as a output like that when we returning back from the dialog box, like product successful mode, something like that. So you can give any kind of a message you want here, maybe a translatable one or something like that too. But from that, when you are returning successfully after uh, doing the necessary transition from the dialog box, you could show to the client something like product is successfully moved or something like that can be handled with these kind of predefined messages. So we just only making the appearance change. It means the message change is only the thing we are doing here, right? I'll give it in the chat. So if you want, you can try this out as well. Okay, so let me give that code in here too. So in case if you want to try this out, you can try this as well, right? Okay, then
So sorry to bother
yeah,
you and stop you. One more
yeah,
question.
yes,
Um,
Gregory.
yeah, if there is actually an error in the execution of this, in this method call,
Uh-huh.
will the refresh still work actually?
Refresh. At that point, yeah, I think because we
Okay,
have mentioned that there is kind of an action happen. So, like even though it's not successfully returned, the refresh will will like occur. But the thing is, since it's not been completely handled, so there will, even though there is a refresh happen, still there will no kind of a change visible for us, Gregory, because the transition is on the middle, it stopped, so we don't need to do a change to the parent page, right? So it
okay,
will not appear.
okay. And is there any kind of syntax or keywords that you can actually call to just, call refresh of a page? Like how you use now value dependencies. Is it possible to actually forcefully do it in a group maybe?
Uh, the thing is actually we could use this logical unit dependency one, Gregory. So what will happen actually there is we are like refreshing the logical unit connected to that. So what I will show you is after the breaks, like all the logical units are connected with different kind of pages. So at that point when we refresh the logical unit, it will be refreshing these client pages which are connected to that logical unit. So at that point, we could like refresh these pages automatically if we use that logical unit dependency.
Okay,
But
okay,
other than that, I'm not sure that if there are any other kind of logic, other kind of keywords, but the logical unit, it works. There is no issue on that.
okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Maybe we could go for the break now. So you could also get a small break, and after that, we'll like have a look on the debugging on the base servant part. After that, and there are some exercises actually. We could go for the assistant I'm planning to start today. So we can start on that, and we can discuss some points there too. So maybe we could go for around a 25-minute break. So then you could try this code which I given in the chat too. After that, we'll continue with the point we stopped, and we'll go for like the database debugging part as well. Right. So maybe I'll get the clock. So we'll go for a 25-minute break. So I'm giving additional 5 minutes. So you can try this code which I given in the chat. Yeah. So see you all after 25 minutes, right? Okay. Bye for now.